Welcome to Late Night Wine number 2 from the Wineanorak. And I'm going to be brief tonight because I've got 4 wines to talk about and also a book to review. So let's start with the first wine. This is a Tannat from Uruguay, something a bit unusual. It's from the Bouza winery. It's 2004. Let's give it a whirl. It's got a deep colour. It's an interesting sort of nose. It's very fruity. This wine's been aged in new French and American oak barrels, and I'm getting sort of dark, chocolatey, spicy red and black fruits with a sort of rubbery, spicy, savoury sort of edge to it. And the palate's, again, very savoury, good acid, good tannin, but quite a whack of fruit there and some oak evidence. So this is sort of wine that's modern, it's very fruity, but there's some savoury seriousness as well. And overall I think it's something that's, it retails for about £10, so this is a modestly expensive wine. But it gives you plenty of flavour. Yeah, probably more New World than Old World, but maybe a hint of that sort of Chilean sort of style of fruit to it. I guess I'm slightly undecided. I think it's really nice, but I don't think it's that special. So sort of a modest sort of verdict on this. Impressive, quite interesting, good food wine. But not my favourite sort of style. And the second wine is a Rioja. As you can see, this got this sort of lovely, stylish, classy sort of wire around the outside. I don't know why they do this. It's a really appalling thing to do to a bottle of wine, to encase it in wire. But I guess that's their thing. So let's give it a chance. This is a Rioja Reserva from Beaujolais, and it's 7 Vinas, which is referring to the fact that it's made from 7 different grape varieties grown in Rioja. I think it's all the 7 that are allowed to be grown there, and it's from 2001. And this will have spent 3 years in small oak barrels, presumably American oak, and then a further year in larger foudre, which, you know, bigger oak barrels. So it's spent a long time in oak. And the effect of spending a long time in oak is you lose quite a lot of fruit, but you gain sort of spicy, oaky complexity. It's a deep coloured wine. On the nose, some of that sort of coconutty, vanilla sort of oak character, with some fruit as well. Quite smooth, quite harmonious. In the palate, the effect of that extended aging oak has given it a sort of a mellow, slightly spicy quality to the fruit. So this is quite sophisticated. It comes across quite well. Yes, there's oak there, but the oak isn't completely overpowering. It kind of blends in there with the mellow, harmonious, soft sort of Rioja style of fruit, and overall I think it's quite nice. It's not my favourite style of wine. I'm not a huge fan of these traditional style Riojas, but it's not a bad wine. It's quite expensive. It's about £17. It's from Tesco. Not a wine I'd shell £17 out for, but it does deliver quite a lot of class. It's mellow, smooth, and I think it will evolve further in bottle. Moving on to this next bottle. This next bottle is a Brouilly. It's from the Beaujolais region, and it's made by Lapalu. It's 2005 vintage, and it's made by a producer who's using old vines, who's interested in terroir, and who's in conversion to biodynamics. It's a very interesting nose. My initial thought is there's some Brettanomyces there. You know, it's a spoilage yeast that some people think adds complexity, other people think is straight from the devil and ruins all the wines it touches. Often wines that are made in this sort of natural style have a little bit of Brettanomyces present. But I think I'm not a Brett policeman. I don't think it's right to write wines off just because you detect these first signs of this sort of spicy, earthy, phenolic quality that Brettanomyces brings. I think actually you need to think a bit more about the wines and whether it works in the context of the wine. And I think it's actually, this wine is it's quite complex. There's some elegant, pure fruit, as well as this spicy character that I suspect to be Brettanomyces. And overall, I get the impression this is sort of living wine that's got a lot of personality. It's quite expressive. It's a thought-provoking wine. It's a wine that you want to return to again and again to try to catch more of what it's got to say. And yes, it is this sort of quite tight, earthy, spicy character that's a little challenging at first, but I think that given maybe a few years in the bottle, given maybe the right context at table, this is a wine that could show really well. So I guess judgment reserved a bit, but otherwise I'm quite positive towards it. And finally, let's move towards a Bordeaux, and it's Chateau le Vieille from Fronsac, and it's a 2002 vintage. I always worry when we come to Bordeaux that we actually kind of give Bordeaux a bit of help because it's Bordeaux. We suddenly accept that the price is going to be higher. We expect less of the wine just because it's a famous region. Well, this wine is not inexpensive. It's about £14. It's from Sainsbury in the UK. But it delivers. I think it delivers the sort of quality you'd expect at that price, which, when it comes to Bordeaux, isn't always the case. There's a bit of new oak evidence, the sort of sweet vanilla, bit of spice, but alongside that there's a really good density of fruit, and it's quite mineralic, it's quite spicy. The palate, forgive me there, I just backsplashed myself with red wine, which is always unfortunate. The palate shows nice density. It's really well balanced. It's food friendly. It's not too rich, but it's ripe without being overripe. I think that's what Bordeaux does so well. It produces these digestible wines that taste just taste so good, but work so well with food, and which you can drink without feeling you're being blasted by alcohol and overripe fruit. So this is a wine I think that delivers the sort of quality you'd expect at the price. So, time for a book review. The book is To Cork or Not to Cork. It's by George Tabor, who's an American author, and the book is subtitled Tradition, Romance, Science and the Battle for the Wine Bottle. This probably sounds a little bit boring and nerdy, but it's not. It's actually a really good book. Tabor writes well, he's got a good writing style, and what I like about it is the way that he's taken a sort of historical approach to the whole closures debate. He's looked at the issue of corks, screw caps, plastic corks and all the various alternatives that exist from a sort of a timescale, temporal perspective, where he's traced the evolution of the debate. He brings in all the right people, the people who are qualified to comment on the issue, at the right phases, and he uses their sort of arguments to drive the debate. And while he's probably guilty of maybe sitting on the fence a tiny bit in terms of coming to conclusions, I think that the book is really quite well balanced, and it certainly covers the science, which is an area that I've taken quite an interest in, very well. So overall, this is a book that, if closures is a subject that interests you at all, is probably worth a read. It's quite digestible. You know, it's something you can get into even if you're not terribly techy, and it's an important issue. So this is a book worth checking out. I imagine that it will be available from Amazon. The publisher is Scribner, and the details will be on my website, as will the details of the wines that we've tasted tonight. Thanks for listening. Bye.